If you've ever had a Scorpio walk into your life and somehow change everything without even trying, stop right now and comment, Scorpio energy hits different. Because today we're diving into the best and worst sides of Scorpio, not in a list, not in a lecture, but in the way Scorpio energy actually feels. Deep, magnetic, complicated, and unforgettable. Stay until the end, because the final insight explains exactly why Scorpios leave marks on people that last years, sometimes forever. The first thing you need to understand about Scorpio is this: everything good about them and everything difficult about them comes from the same emotional core. There's no separation. Their best traits and their worst traits are twins, two expressions of the same intensity. When a Scorpio loves, they don't just love. They merge. They sink into you. They connect at a level most people aren't even brave enough to imagine. Their emotional depth is one of their greatest strengths. They're loyal, committed, attentive, and able to understand you without you ever having to explain yourself. They can feel your shifts, your fears, your tension, your longing. And you feel safe in that intensity, because for a moment, it feels like someone finally sees you without any filters. But that same depth, the same emotional gravity that pulls you toward them, can also feel overwhelming. What feels like intimacy to them can feel like pressure to someone who doesn't love as deeply. To Scorpio, intensity is natural. It's honest. It's real. But to others, it can feel like drowning in someone's emotions. Scorpio doesn't mean to suffocate, they just don't understand how to love lightly. They don't know what halfway feels like. And that difference in emotional speed and emotional depth is where the misunderstandings begin. Another powerful part of Scorpio's nature is the way they protect. When a Scorpio loves you, you're not just cared for, you're guarded. They'll stand between you and any threat, any pain, any drama. They will go quiet, observe, analyze, and make sure you're safe. Their loyalty is fierce, almost primal. It's the kind of loyalty you didn't know you needed until you experience it. They make you feel like someone finally has your back without hesitation, without conditions, without fear. But the worst side of this shows up when protection turns into possession. Scorpio doesn't always realize when their urge to keep you safe becomes an urge to control the environment around you. They don't want to own you, they want to protect the connection. But if someone doesn't understand Scorpio's love language, that protection can feel like restriction. It can feel like being watched, monitored, or held too tightly. Scorpio sees it as care. Others see it as control. And this misunderstanding creates distance, even when Scorpio's intention is simply loyalty. Honesty is another one of Scorpio's best gifts. They don't lie. They don't sugarcoat. They don't tell you what you want to hear, they tell you what's real. Scorpio truth is sharp, direct, and often exactly what you needed to hear to wake up, grow, or break a cycle. They see through the excuses you make for yourself. They see through the masks people wear. They see through the stories you tell to avoid the pain underneath. And because they value truth so deeply, they give it to you raw. But raw truth leaves marks. Scorpio's honesty can cut deeper than they realize. Because when a Scorpio speaks, they don't waste words. They hit the nerve directly. They don't soften the edges, and when they're hurt or disappointed, their truth becomes a blade. Not because they want to wound you, but because they speak from a place of emotional accuracy, not emotional politeness. Sometimes one sentence from a Scorpio sticks with you for months, not because it was cruel, but because it was true. And truth, when spoken without filter, can feel like pain. And then there's their intuition, one of the strongest in the entire zodiac. Scorpio doesn't just read people, they read intentions. They feel lies before they're spoken. They sense emotional danger the way animals sense storms. They can walk into a room and immediately understand who's hiding something, who's hurting, who's pretending, who's jealous, who's loyal. Their intuition is a superpower, and it protects them from betrayal, manipulation, and false connections. But that same intuition, when mixed with fear, becomes the source of their worst spiral. Scorpios sense so much that sometimes they assume too much. Their mind fills in the blanks. Their emotional radar becomes hyperactive. They notice tiny shifts that most people don't even see, and they read into them. They build narratives. They imagine worst-case scenarios. They react to energy even when no one has said or done anything wrong. And when they feel something's off, whether it's real or imagined, they withdraw. They go silent. They disappear into themselves. That disappearing act, the Scorpio retreat, is one of the most confusing things about them. They don't do it to punish you. They do it because they've been activated emotionally and need to regain control. Scorpio doesn't want anyone to see them weak, scared, insecure, or hurt. So they step back into their cave, heal privately, and rise again stronger, wiser, sharper. That's their phoenix energy. Their ability to destroy themselves and rebuild is one of their greatest strengths, but it can also leave people feeling abandoned, confused, or shut out. And here lies the biggest paradox of Scorpio: they expect others to be as strong as they are. Not intentionally, but because they only know their own resilience. Scorpio can survive heartbreaks that would break other people. They can come back from betrayals, trauma, abandonment, and emotional chaos with power. But because they can rise, they subconsciously expect others to rise too. They underestimate how deeply other signs feel. They forget that not everyone heals alone, not everyone transforms through pain, not everyone carries fire in their chest the way they do. Scorpio is unforgettable because they change people. They open emotional doors. They challenge comfort zones. They force you to look at yourself. And whether they stay or leave, their presence reshapes you. So here's the healing part, for Scorpio and for anyone who loves one. Scorpio, you don't always have to be intense. You don't always have to be the protector. You don't always have to hide your wounds. You don't always have to love with fire. Sometimes softness is strength too. Sometimes letting people help you doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. And to the people who love a Scorpio, be patient with their silence. Don't fear their intensity. Don't misread their depth as danger. If a Scorpio has chosen you, they chose you with a sacred level of loyalty. Treat it like the treasure that it is. If a Scorpio has ever changed your life, for better or worse, comment, Scorpio leaves a mark. If you are a Scorpio, type, I rise every time. And tell me in the comments which zodiac sign I should break down next. Your request becomes the next video.